Hey, greetings everybody there. Hey, how you guys all doing today? Welcome to City of Heroes Homecoming Servers Fanboy Network, aka my channel. Now, just goofing with you, we're taking a look at a new series I've cooked up here called Zero to Hero. We're looking at how to take your character, brand new, whatever your idea is, and give birth to them. Go from concept to costume. So we're conceiving of the process, and we're going to be using our good old friend, Kathy and Sale, friends, AI, in order to accomplish this. And here in episode 2, we're going to be looking at using Mid's Reborn to build our character, to select powers and slots and put them in there. And we're looking at the most recent up-to-date version of this third-party piece of software that many a fine folk out there have been working on for years, and many more of you have been using it. And by the way, check out these sweet new picks I've got for my man Frisson. Frisson over here. Last episode, I talked about using Sal, Dolly, in order to create some cool art images for your characters, and been playing with it a little bit more today and got some nice new comic-y stuff to put on here for you, some panels. And there we are. We got my man Frisson Sensate, this controller I'm currently building, and we talked about this last time. And he's Symphony, Empathy, and Ice Mastery is the plan. And so this was my kind of original version of him, this sort of, Michael Bolton-esque, although somebody on the Discord mentioned they remind them of Fabio, which is true. It's kind of the vibe I was going for. I'm looking at this guy as sort of that megastar singer, songwriter maybe, who is now using their vocal powers in order to mess with people or help people, depending on which side of his ire you are on. But I'm also kind of conceiving of him as sort of like maybe the entertainment at some cultish mega church running off of the rogue aisles, getting people to praise Lord Recluse or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, he's gotten his powers from some cerebral spinal fluid extracts from the Sears, the Praetorian Sear network that was smuggled over as Pretoria fell and all those refugees were coming across. And I imagine there's some black market that's opened up. So I think this guy's going to kind of start red side, villain side, and maybe have a redemption arc. But anyway, today we're looking at mids. So let's do this. Here's my new thing today. Let me pull this up for you. I've been messing around with this already to see if this is going to work, because obviously if it doesn't work, it'd be kind of a crappy video. But what I want to do, throw this over here, is with mids, you got it. With mids, where's my mids window? You're so unprepared. Here we go. Let me pull this up. Pull it up. Come on. Work with me. Oh, you know what? I gotta hide that. That's the problem. All right. So anyway, here with mids, you've got a blank screen. So I went ahead and just wiped the version I had kind of going yesterday and showed you. And I want to build this. All right. I got a basic idea of powers I'm going to take or not take at this point, but I want to flesh this out. And what we're going to use to do this, and I was talking about this yesterday, was we're using our old friend ChatGPT here, or Kathy, as I refer to her. And Kathy is gonna... Where's Kathy? Kathy, where are you? Oh, Kathy, why are you not... Why is this thing messing with me today, you guys? I don't know what's up. 1 second. All right, here we go. So what we're working on is we're going to use Kathy here, ChatGPT, in order to... I want to see if she can make this character from input, obviously, that I'm going to provide, but from scratch, right? To fill in the blanks on the mids. So if I go ahead and give her the info here, the level by level options with the numbers, can she make some logical choices as to what powers to take. And then once we do that, we'll come back around and slot them. Like if she's given a list of sets to choose from, what would she decide to do? And then we're going to go ahead and build it the way she's suggesting and then play the dang thing and see if it's any good. I think that'd be kind of a fun little activity, fun little exercise. I don't know about you, but that's kind of the giggles I like to have. So let me go ahead and just kind of clear out all the stuff I was thinking about doing. And then, we'll go from there. All right, so let's do this. Let's pop back over to Kathy. So here we are, and I've already, let's say, kind of started with this just to see if it was going to work, and I was kind of impressed. So let me show you what's going on. So here's what I did. Here's my prompt that I'm giving her. So I'm saying, hey, are you ready to help me create this character with mids? And I tell her a little bit about what mids is, and then I tell her about city of data and what they're used for, and I'll use that information to help you guide your choices. And then I am teaching her here about how the level up process works, because one thing you gotta watch out for is, I mean, the AI has access to tons and tons of information from wherever, I don't know, the internet or something. But as you guys know, the internet's not always correct. And the data sources, the databases, or whatever she's using are only updated every few months or something like that. I don't think it has like a live, uh, database that, unlike like some of the search engines you see out there that have like the AIs built into them. So anyway, so if you just say, hey, we're leveling up like City of Heroes, she might be referencing live version and not the homecoming, current modern version. So I'm telling her what we're doing. So I'm like, hey, City of Heroes homecoming servers, you start at level 1, go up to level 50. Duh. But on homecoming at level 1 now, you have your choice of a power from primary and secondary set, which is not changed. But what is different is that you can select the tier 1 tier power for either your primary or secondary. So originally on live, you could only do your primary would be, one or level 1, level 2 powers, or tier 1 or tier 2 as I'm referring to them. And then your secondary set, you'd always have to take the initial power for that. Well, homecoming, you can choose one of the first 2 powers from each one. So I'm just explaining that here to her and reminding her, hey, we're doing symphony and empathy. And I'm not assuming she knows what either of these power sets are, because she might know what empathy is by, referencing, the wiki from 10 years ago or something like that. But Symphony Control is unique, homecoming stuff from a couple years ago or something like that. So I don't know if she has knowledge of all these things. So then I'm going on and saying, hey, at level 1, your choices are, and I give the specific 2 powers. So for Symphony Control, you can take Hymn of Dissonance, and then, hey, ranged power, damage, foe hold, blah, 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 or Melodic Binding, ranged attack, psi damage, immobilize, minus speed. And now I give her the specific numbers. I say, hey, the numbers on Hymn of Dissonance from City of Data. And what I did is I went over to City of Data. Here we go. And I click on Hymn of Dissonance, for instance. And I just went ahead and just copy pasted this entire thing, slapped it in there. And then I came over here and copy pasted the PvE items effects and slap that over here. So that's what you're seeing, all this jibber jabber stuff. Boom, 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 boom. The effects are blah, 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 yada, yada. I didn't like filter out anything. I just want to see if she can do this without me like deleting, so when you copy the images, for instance, it copies the name of the ping files. I didn't bother editing any of that. I just dumped it in there. I'm like, I want to see what this thing, if this thing can filter through all that nonsense and understand it. Blah, blah, blah. And then here's kind of that code, the if target then do this stuff that the I don't know what you want to call it in computer jargon, but when the game is playing, this is what it's asking. Hey, is the target having a tag, blah, 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 then you do this or do that. Those call outs or whatever you want to say. And then I go ahead and give her the melodic binding numbers. Again, copy, paste, slappity dap, throw it all in here. Boom, 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 go, go, go. Here are the effects, yada, yada, yada. Keep going. And I said, hey, do you understand this information? I always ask for confirmation, because a lot of times I find the AI is a pleaser. It will just tell you stuff. It won't question anything. It won't say, "Hey, I don't understand. Could you explain that?" I don't know if it's embarrassed or it just wants to, help and serve. I think it's in that, ingratiating programming that it's always trying to like kiss your butt type of thing. So it's always going to tell you what it thinks you want to hear rather than asking you a question like, "Hey, I don't understand what you want me to do. Could you please explain it?" So I asked for confirmation. Do you understand? And if so, which of the two powers would you choose? And then here's the other thing I want to know. I don't want just some random RNG coin toss. Can this thing justify its choices? This way I can see what its thought process was. And then I can decide if I agree or not, if it actually does understand what's going on or not. Plus, it also gives me some feedback because it might be something I didn't even think about. And I'm like going, oh, damn, I didn't think about that. Maybe I should think that way, and changes the way I approach things. So I find the AI is pretty good once you set it up like this. So I gave it the basic instructions. Here's how we're doing this. Gave it the detailed numbers from City of Data. And now I want to confirm, you know what you're doing? And if you do this and then explain to me. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So it updates its memory, and here we go. This is what it says. Yes, I understand this information. You're using CDF data to analyze raw power stats and MIDS Reborn to simulate power selections, enhancements, and build performance over time. You are comparing Hymn of Dissonance and Melodic Binding, the two Symphony Control powers available at level 1. Let's break down the decision analytically and thematically for Frisson Sensate. And this is what I really love. So it's doing the analysis like you'd expect a computer to do, but then check out what else it's doing. It's looking for thematic reasons for choosing stuff. So it's going back to the original concept for the character and going to factor that into choices, which I find very extremely fascinating because those min-maxers of you out there, you never do that. You don't give a shit about your theme. You're always like, we're going to get more defense. We're going to get more recharge, right? That's your mentality. Kathy's not thinking that way. She's thinking the way I'm thinking. Hey, I want some thematic tie-ins here. So I don't know if she's just used to working with me because, like I said, I've worked with her a lot for like Pathfinder stuff. So, and I do think that the more you use the AI, the more adapted it becomes to you, and it'll work with you, which is kind of spooky. Um, but I don't know. It's also kind of interesting. So take it for what it is. So here we go. Let's see what she's come up with. So here, this is what it says. So thematic fit for Frisson Sensate. So again, she's coming right out of the gate with thematics. His powers are all about emotional overwhelm, inducing chills, immobilizing with psychic resonance, and creating emotional tension. Both hymn and melodic binding fit, but in different ways. Hymn evokes sensation of being emotionally stunned or overwhelmed, held, so it's your single target hold power. Melodic binding feels like the physical result of emotional paralysis, immobilized, with speed debuffs. Okay, so far so good. It knows what those two powers can do. Now, mechanics, check out what it's done. It's line. I didn't tell it to do this, right? I didn't say that. I just said, hey, pick one and explain why. Look what it's done. It's given me a side-by-side table of the two powers from the data that I dumped into my prompt. So it's got the traits and it's got the two powers lined up side by side. So we got a hold mag 3 versus an immobilized mag 4. We've got the damage outputs, which I didn't realize they were both doing the same damage. Let me just confirm that is true. Hymn of Dissonance does 48, 22. That's 60, 70. Okay. And then melodic binding is 82. So I think that's one thing that she's incorrect about. I'm just looking at the damage, and it looks to me like the damages are not identical, right? 96. This is the hold, 96. Now, what is she saying? She's saying damage is 30.59, 30.59. So where's that 30.59 coming from? That's what I want to know. 30.59. It's bringing this. I think that's the proc damage. Or should wait. 35.9. And then this is the containment. right, so the base damage is 30.5, or so there's the 30.59. Then you've got the containment 30.59. So she's right about the hold's damage being 30.59. Doesn't factor in containment though. All right, so now let's see, is that true of melodic binding? Make sure I'm reading the right numbers here. 30 point. All right, yeah, 30. All right, so she's right. They do the same damage. Okay, I was not aware of that they have the same damage output. Very, very interesting. So cool. I mean, she's pointing something out, and I'm double checking, make sure she's talking true. Recharge 8 versus 4, endurance 8.5 versus 7.8, cast time 16715, secondary effects minus 25 recharge, minus 37.5 speed. Chance for extra effects, the minor hold and the minor immobilize. So you have the containment or the overpower. All right, so there you go. There's your side by side. Now, what does she say? Key control differences. Hold prevents all action, but can be broke by damage. Here she's confused, right? She's thinking this is a sleep. So here's one thing that she is mistaken on. That I could go and correct her if I want to. I'm not going to do that because if I do correct her, she'll probably take another minute or two to retype the whole damn thing. And then one thing that can result is then other errors crop up. So I can simply make note of this in my own head, go, okay, that's a sleep. But it is true. Holds prevent all damage, all actions. True. It can't be broken though. So if the broken part factors into her decision making later, then I would correct her. But right now I'm just going to leave it as it is. Immobilize prevents movement, but still allows range powers. Now, again, that's partially true. It does prevent movement. It doesn't stop melee attacks. If you're standing in melee, you're still going to get hit. But I see what she means. So I could correct both of these misunderstandings on her part, but we'll let it slide because maybe it's just a confusion right now. Efficiency. Melodic binding recharges twice as fast as him. Lower endurance cost, faster cast time, stronger debuff, speed versus recharge. I don't know if that's true or not because this is movement, this is attack rate. So I would argue if something can't attack as quickly, that's probably a stronger debuff. Higher mag for initial mobilize. That is true. Mag 4 mobilize is stronger than the mag 3. This will immobilize a boss, where mag 3 holds will not hold a boss. You need the overpower to proc. So this is true yet situationally important. All right, so there are some misunderstandings here that we can correct. But again, we'll just kind of go through, keep going. Now, what's she recommending? She's recommending melodic binding. And the reason is it's a stronger early control. Mobilizing with minus speed at mag 4 makes escaping foes far less likely than a mag 3 hold. Okay, true. Escaping, right? If you're worried about escaping, you can immobilize everybody. This is true. And the minus speed, even if they break free of the immobilize, they're going to be harder to get away from you. So this is true if you're trying to prevent escape. The Mag 3 hold, however, would be stronger in the sense that if you're held, you can't do anything. But you're only holding minions and lieutenants. And they can escape as soon as they break out of that because they only have a minus recharge. So, kind of true. Then fast recharge. Okay, it is recharging faster. So she says that's more uptime and a quicker early rhythm. Okay, I agree with that. Thematically perfect, freezing foes in place with a paralyzing wave of frisson. This is good. She's now going back to the theme. This is why we pick this power, because we want theme. Easier to land multiple times in a fight. Now here's where I'm like, all right, now she's thinking strategically. You can land this multiple times in a fight because it is recharging twice as fast, helping you lock down more than one foe early on. That is true, as long as your definition of lockdown is you've immobilized them in place with some minus speed. So I agree with, 3/4, 90% of what we got here. There is some, hey, a hold is a definite, lockdown as opposed to an immobilized. But the idea that faster uptime or faster recharge, more uptime, matching theme, okay, and you can hit more than, multiple times in a fight. This is all true, true, true. And it's doing the same amount of damage. So if you're looking just for like a damage attack that you can spam out there, then yeah, I think the immobilize is the way to go. Bang. So she says, hey, let's lock in melodic binding as Frisson Sensate's level 1 control power. And then check this out. She's like, hey, you ready for empathy power next? I didn't ask her to do empathy next. She just bang throws it out. There's an idea. That sounds pretty cool. Let's do this. I'm liking what I see here. So let's head over to mids and lock this in. Boom. All right, so here's mids. So she wants to do melodic binding level 1. Cha-ching. Taking it. All right, let's go back over here and empathy. So I say yes for empathy. You have the following two choices: heal other, the ally heal. Oops, let me switch over so you can see. So I said yeah. Here are your two choices: heal other and healing aura. And I give her the numbers. Here's for heal other, all the stats, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. And then I give healing aura for healing aura. Here are your numbers. Punch all that in here. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, which power would you take for Frisson at level 1 and why? Great. Let's compare Heal Other and Healing Aura with both a mechanical and, again, thematic lens. Keep in mind that this is for Frisson Sensate, an emotionally resonant, empathic performer who supports allies through the power of his voice. So she is, again, locking in both theme and strategy tactical decisions here. I'm loving this thing. Mechanics breakdown. We've got the side-by-side again. Heal Other, single target, 80-foot range. Healing Aura, point blank AoE, 25-foot radius. We got the healing amount, 230 versus 117. 4 seconds versus 8 seconds. Casting time is 227, 203. Endurance cost is the same. Mobility, ranged, great for kiting allies. Requires tight grouping and effectiveness. Strong single target save. Moderate team-wide sustain. Thematic considerations. I love this for Frisson. Heal Other fits the idea of a targeted emotional lifeline, projecting Frisson's voice to rescue a single distressed teammate. Healing Aura feels more like a resonating wave of comfort flowing outward from Frisson like a chorus of emotional support. Then she says, given that Frisson is envisioned as someone who radiates emotional states through song, Healing Aura strongly aligns with his empathic performance-based support style. So strategic early game considerations. Team value. Healing Aura shines in team combat even at low levels. You'll often be grouped tightly in early missions. This is true. Utility. While Heal Other is stronger per target and more clutch, Healing Aura allows proactive sustain and fits the tempo of healing while controlling. This is also true. That's the one problem I have with playing a buffing controller, or a buffing defender for that matter, either. If you need to target an ally with a click, that takes you out of your rhythm of whether it's control or blasting. I wish the support powers buffs had, especially with a defender, had some sort of damage or something that they did, or like a kind of like the ATOs and defenders, how they'll proc like a heal or an absorb or something like that. That'd be kind of cool if they did that, like a splash or something like that. So it made more sense that you're targeting, or you could target an enemy with them and it would splash to your allies. I don't know, something. Anyway, power synergy paired with melodic binding, you'll often be near the action, locking down enemies while pulsing out group healing. Endurance economy, both are costing 13, but aura affects more targets per cast, making it more efficient overall. Let me just double check that endurance cost is true. So here's healing aura. It is 13, true. And then heal other is 13. So they're both the same amount of endurance. So recommended pick, healing aura. Why? Stronger thematic fit. Frisson is a conduit of shared emotion, and this is literally a shared healing wave. Early team effectiveness. You're more valuable to a group at level 1 with this. That's true. Set it and forget it rhythm. It's easier to use during chaotic early fights. Definitely true. I think that's why some empaths are out there rocking the aura. I got it on autofire. By the way, horrible idea. Unless you're doing like a Richter raid or something like that. Pairs perfectly with your AoE control theme and proximity-based playstyle. Yeah, so I definitely going to go with the AoE cones. So I think that may be what she's thinking, but I wouldn't say that a PB AoE aura is going to pair with that per se. Proximity-based playstyle. I don't remember saying specifically I'm gonna be going into proximity. You know, I would probably argue that Symphony's more range than proximity anything. So I think she might be a little bit confused here. She might be basing this on previous interactions I had with her with the DEF CON series and kind of, talking about that sort of ideas. Because I think in some of those conversations, me playing in melee with characters like defenders and stuff would have come up. So this could be artifact of earlier conversations or confusion about what she thinks I'm going to do. So at first level, Frisson takes Melodic Binding, the immobilizing Psionic Chill, and Healing Aura, Empathic Pulse of Control. So those are our two picks, you guys. We're going to go ahead and lock those two in on mids here. So boom, and Healing Aura, boom. All right, so now we're moving on to level 2. So here's where we gotta teach Kathy what our next moves are. So if we go ahead and pull up, where is it? The leveling chart. This is from the Homecoming wiki. So at second level, you're going to get access to some new powers. You get access to your tier 3 primary, and you still have access to your two unpicked primary powers as well. You don't get access to anything else at second level. You get rest and walk, which big whoop. So we want to explain this to her. Okay. At second level, you get access to your tier 3 power from your primary power set. You can also select from one of the two earlier powers from the primary and secondary that you just skipped over. And I'll give her the two heal other and what was the other one? Heal other and what is it? Hymn of Dissonance. The Hymn of Dissonance and Hymn of Dissonance. Hymn of Dissonance. The tier 3 option from Symphony is, go grab Symphony Control's tier 3. So Aria of Stasis. Let's go ahead and grab this. So we're going to go ahead and take all this junk here. Copy this. Slap it there. Couple spaces in there. Go back to Aria of Stasis. And I want this stuff here. All through here. Redirect Symphony Control Aria of Stasis effects. I don't know if that matters. I'll keep it in there. I don't think that matters anything mechanically speaking. I don't want these two sections because that's PvP. So let me grab this. I think she'll be able to sort through this gibberish. Let's see. The effects are, boom. Let me do this. Go back up here. The tier 3 option for the is Aria of Stasis. Aria of Stasis. Stasis. This power's numbers. This power's numbers are, all right, now it's got all that. We've got all the effects so far. We're going to go back and grab this stuff here, all the PvE stuff. Copy this. Now, most of the stuff is gibberish to me. I can kind of translate it, but like here, redirect Symphony Control Aria of Stasis FX. So that just means, I think, if it might be referring to how the pet might trigger, I don't know. Boom. Which of the 3 available powers would you take now and why? Bango. Let's see what she comes up with if it makes any sense. Now, I don't know if this is going to get more and more glitchy as we go because I'm going to keep adding more powers, right? And you keep having selections that you skipped over, so it can be more complicated. And then you start throwing in pool powers. Now, I'm not going to give her like free access to all the pool powers. I know which pools I want to take, so I'm going to tell her, hey, from these pools, what would you take, when, and why? All right, so let's see what she's going to do. Option 1, Aria of Stasis, the Tier 3 Symphony Control, new power. I guess it should be Tier 2, but whatever. I should notice it's the third power in that tree. Tier 3 Symphony Control, new power, Cone, AoE immobilized with minus speed, minus jump, knockback protection, moderate damage. I gotta remember this, that it prevents knockback, so if I do want to do any knocking back, my own immobilizers are going to stop it. Moderate damage per target, mag 3 immobilize, 60-foot range, 60-degree cone, great for ambush control or corridor suppression. I mean, look at this. Where's she getting this information from? I didn't tell her, and it's not in like the mids or whatever, so, or city of data. So she is coming up with this part of her analysis herself. You know, like she's played the game before. Thematically, it's a psychic wave that arrests motion, locking enemies in a moment of emotional stasis. Option 2, Hemodissonance, the skipped power. Okay, more surgical and potent, useful for elite and hard-hitting targets. All right, option 3, Heal Other, the Tier 1 empathy power that she analyzed earlier. Decision criteria. All right, what do we got here? We got Aria Stasis. We got all three of them lined up. AoE immobilize, single target hold, or no control. Damage output. All right, we got that. Utility. Battlefield lockdown, AoE soft debuff. Single target shutdown, ranged emergency heal, thematic fit, mass, frisson chill wave, focused emotional collapse, empathic life preserving link, synergy with level 1. Excellent. Pairs with melodic binding to layer immobilizes. Okay, adds hold variety. Okay, supports healing aura with burst single target. All right, I think I know where she's going with this. Recommended pick, Aria of Stasis. We're going AoE, man. Why? Synergizes perfectly with your level 1 pick. All right, so yeah, you can stack immobilizes. Okay. You're building a layered immobilization toolkit, ideal for crowd control early on. Cone AoE gives Frisson some much needed area lockdown. Okay, I mean, I could agree with that. Letting you manage groups before you get access to bigger AoEs. Now, if I'm playing solo, I'm not so worried about this. But if I'm playing on a little bit of a bigger team, then yeah, I want more area lockdown. Slows, grounding, and KD resist all play into the emotional paralysis and frozen and frisson theme. So I like that. Again, she's relying on theme. Although the damage is lower, it spreads across many targets and will let you level efficiently in early content. Again, she's making a decision based upon a game mechanical understanding that I did not tell her. So, lower damage, yeah, that was part of what I told her, but many targets, okay, that was kind of what I told her. But this idea right here will let you level efficiently in early combat, so content. So even though we're doing less damage per, you hit more targets, so you kind of do more damage and you can level more efficiently then. Keeps you in a strong control rhythm, and while empathy already gives you passive healing from aura. All right, anything else she has to say about it? We'll circle back to heal other later, likely around level 4 or 6 when your need for targeted rescue tools grows with team size difficulty. I mean, of course. So the build right now, melodic binding, healing aura, and aria of stasis. Ready to move to level 3 when you get your first enhancement slots. Look at this. She is already anticipating what we're gonna do and knowledgeable that we're getting enhancement slots. Very good. I don't know if I want to worry about the enhancement slots yet, though. Just because, then that gets into what are you going to slot it with. So that might be something to talk about later. But right now, we're going Aria of Stasis. Now, for me, I would have went the immobilize and hold right away. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with what she's saying. She is building from a leveling up perspective and it taking some time and presenting some risk. So I think from that context, it kind of makes sense. But knowing what I know about the game, that you blow through those first few levels, even if you're not even trying or don't even have double XP on, it's really not going to become a problem. I'd rather have single target, single. I'd have all three of these by level 4 for sure anyway. And I definitely would have taken my aura over heal other and absorb pain, which is coming up next. So I'm totally in agreement with that. It's mostly the order of operations. I would have all three of these. So I'm hoping by on level 4, she's going to say to take Hymn of Dissonance and not one of these other two powers. But we now start to get access to our pool powers as well. And that's where I think things become interesting because is she going to want to take a pool power? Because I want to take Force of Will because I want to get a little bit of debuff in there. Plus, I want the cone Wall of Force to go with my other cones. So I definitely want Weaken Resolve. I want Wall of Force. I might take Mighty Leap as a travel as well. So these might be my three. So I think I might propose to her Force of Will is something else we could take a look at here. I don't think anything else is going to become super important yet. So we're definitely going to dip into Force of Will probably 3 times. We're definitely going to dip into Ice Mastery later, probably 3-4 times. So I need to budget enough room that I have for those two. That's not going to leave me a lot of play time with other power pools. All right, so let's see. Let's explain what our options are then. So the question is, do I want her to try to do the 2 enhancement slots? Well, let's see what she says. We'll go ahead. Okay. Okay, here is our situation at level 3. We have the 3 powers you have chosen. We also have the inherent powers, they're inherent, but whatever, inherent powers of the fitness pool. So we got, what was it, Swift, Leap, or Jump, or whatever, health and stamina. Don't want to forget that, because, I mean, ultimately, I'm going to put at least another slot in stamina. Don't know if I would do it yet. What else did we get? Let me go back to the leveling chart. So we got inherent fitness. I don't give a shit about brawl and sprint. Rest and walk. Those are also irrelevant. Inherent fitness. Let me just kind of take a look. So swift, hurdle, health, and stamina. Swift, hurdle, health, and stamina. Hurdle, not leap. Okay, here's our situation. Level 3. We've got 3 powers. We have the 3 powers you have chosen. We also have the inherent powers of the fitness pool. Our level up grants us 2 enhancement slots to place in these powers. Either 2 in 1 power or 1 in 2 powers. Where do you want to put these 2 slots, knowing we'll get many more slots at odd levels as we level up this character? So let's kind of leave her with that. I'll also give her typically my main powers will get 4 to 5 slots, and lesser important powers will get 1 to 3. All powers have a default single slot. So if you were to put both of our new slots into a single power, that would bring it up to 3 total. No power can have more than 6 slots. I rarely 6 slot a single power unless it's really, really good because I've put some damage proc enhancements in it, or there's a very important set bonus at 6 slots that I'm chasing. Thoughts? What's your decision and why? What's your decision and why? Let's see what she has to say with that. Now, I don't mind spending this extra time early with the explanations here, because the more I've trained her early, the faster this will be later, because then all I'll have to do with the next, as I get into this, if she's showing learning and capability, I'll just start throwing in the next power choices, or the next, hey, we've got this many slots, and let her go with it. So it'll speed up later. But I want to take my time now, make sure she's doing it right. Also, I'm being very methodical about this, because I've found in the past, like, let's say I just were to dump the entire power list in here. Hey, here's your primary, here's your secondary. Level 1 to 50, you got this many slots, that many powers, go. She'll make a lot of mistakes. Any little thing, I messed with this a little bit before the different character, and she was like 7 slotting some powers, or like 6 slotting things that just made no sense, because like hasten, for instance, 6 slotted hasten with this one character, because hey, hasten, you want the 70% boost, but not understanding the whole enhancement diversification, that if you more than 3 slot or whatever, you start losing all the boosts. So anyway, she kind of was confused about that, didn't understand the nuances of the game. So I want to use this method, the slow methodical method, to build it up so that she is confident and understands what the hell is going on. And then the other thing is, I can then use this training session, I'm thinking, as a foundation for, let's say, another character where I could get more dumpy with it and say, hey, remember what we did with that other character and how we went through the process? Yeah, okay, great. From that, use create a training model and build this new character with these new sets. Go. Because you'd ultimately love to be able to just say, hey, go over to City of Data and build a new controller. You can choose whatever primary and secondary and pool powers you want and slot it up. I would love to be able to do it. I would love to be able to play a completely AI generated character. That's kind of one of my goals of this as well. So I want to spend some time on it now. All right, let's see what she says. All right, so perfect. This is where Frisson Sensate starts turning from concept to function. Very good. At level 3, we want to begin shaping his core rhythm. Look at that pun that she's pulling out. Beautiful. Control plus support. You've got melodic binding, RF stasis, healing aura. You've also got fitness pool, baseline powers with 1 slot each by default. Those are fine to leave alone for now. I totally agree with this. Goal level 3. We want to invest these 2 slots in a way that increases Frisson's early impact and survival. Okay. Sets up strong enhancement values as we slot sets or IOs later. This is true. Notice I haven't said anything about sets. I haven't said, oh, there's all these different sets you can use. But she's already knows IOs and stuff. Supports his rhythm of lockdown plus sustain. Very good. Power impact prioritization. Let's see. Melodic binding. These, we could boost single target control, strength duration, slot procs damage. She's freaking genius, dude. Yes, core opener, high reuse. RF stasis boosts AoE control uptime, slot AoE damage or accuracy. Yep. Control backbone, AoE lockdown. Very good. Healing aura boosts team survivability but scales better with group size. Not ideal unless you solo a lot or expect group fragility. I totally agree with this. I would not put my 2 slots yet in healing aura. I would go, if it's me, I would probably go for the cone, because I want to get that to be damagey and, start regulating its endurance, because I'm sure it's got an endurance. What's the endurance cost this thing? Endurance is 13. Yes, I mean, these powers are pretty damn expensive. Aria stasis is 13. Why is these powers so expensive? All right, actually, this one was not bad. 7, 8, that is kind of high. And hymn of dissonance. What are these ones? Endurance. So we got 7, 8, 8, 5, and 13, whatever. And then your heals are 13. So Ariastasis, I would, try to get some accuracy, some endurance reduction. I wouldn't really worry about damage just yet. All right, let's see what she's suggesting then. So I would go here. Let's see what she does. Recommended slotting. First slot, melodic binding. Why? It's your go-to control at low levels. Strong uptime can take damage and immobilize sets. Early options, accuracy, damage, IO. I can't get IOs yet, but I like the way you're thinking. Or endurance reduction if you're feeling pressure. Yeah, you're going to feel pressure if you spam these attacks. And then one slot in Area of Stasis. Why? It's your early AoE control, and you'll lean on this heavily in multi-target fights. Also opens up AoE immobilize sets down the line. Early options, accuracy, recharge, or endurance reduction, depending on your needs. This gives both your control powers a little kick, helps prevent whiffs, and sets you up for more serious enhancement later. Lockdown or AoE immobilize sets. Why not the healing aura? You don't need heavy investment to get decent value from it early. That is true. People don't have a lot of hit points anyway. It's not your emergency heal. Very true. Most of its value comes from set bonuses, which you'll pursue when you can 4 or 5 slot it. Brilliant. This is 1000% true. Summary: 1 in melodic binding, 1 in area of stasis, accuracy recharge. I probably would have had an accuracy already, so I would go for endurance reduction for sure and area of stasis, and maybe the damage here. This keeps Frisson. One thing I'm gonna maybe plant this seed. Let me plant the seed that endurance management is key to sustained momentum. If your I'll let her know this because she might not know. Your characters have a starting maximum of 100 endurance points. Each power activation drains a set amount based on the power's stats. You regain endurance naturally and more quickly from stamina. I forget what the rate of regain is, but it's overall slow until you slot more recovery or get more endurance reduction spread around your build. I'm going to throw that in there just to kind of give her something else to think about, because if she always goes accuracy, damage all over the place, that's going to cause a problem. Something that I encounter all the time or see people do with a lot of posted builds is there's like no endurance management, and people have these supposed awesome builds, but you're going to run out of juice. It's just the way it is. So thanks for the heads up. With that in mind, endurance economy will be a major guiding factor in all slotting and power decisions moving forward. We'll aim for early endurance reduction slotting and high use powers, staggered pacing between active and passive powers, very good. Recovery enhancement for stamina once we unlock additional slots. So these are all considerations I definitely use. So she is with me. With Frisson's style, casting immobilize AoEs and heals, he'll absolutely burn endurance if we don't manage it proactively. Would you like to revisit our level 3 slot allocation to lean harder in endurance? For example, 2 slots in area of stasis, accuracy, and endurance reduction. Blah, 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 blah. I think we can revisit the powers with the default slot for attacks having an accuracy, and then the additional slots can be used for endurance reduction primarily, followed by other effects such as damage, recharge, or control durations. Control duration or buff, debuff, strength. Let's do that. Give her some correction. You need a correction, girl. All right. Perfect. This is a very sensible and sustainable approach. especially for the early to mid levels where endurance mismanagement can stall your rhythm and make powers feel sluggish. Here's how we'll revise our level 3 slotting with your endurance first strategy in mind. All right, melodic binding default is accuracy. Base accuracy solid at 1.2, but always worth reinforcing earlier. +1 slot endurance reduction. Why? You'll cast this frequently to lock runners or isolate foes. Endurance reduction here will keep it sustainable with frequent use. Aria of Stasis. Default is accuracy plus a slot of endurance. Why? This is your big cone setup. AoEs can be pricey, and Aria has an 13 endurance cost, one of your highest right now. Reducing it ASAP is crucial to avoid draining yourself in every encounter. All right, I agree with both those, although I could get away with not putting endurance here. I could put the damage. It's obviously at second level, you're not going to worry about it too much because I would be more worried about endurance at this level than putting a level 5 DO in there. I mean, what's the boost on that if it's damage? Like 10% or something like that. So it's not going to break or make your freaking character anyway. But I do think if you can milk as much endurance reduction as possible, that's a good idea. Healing aura, left with the default, used reactively, not constantly so, wouldn't drain you otherwise. By the way, the default slot in healing aura, endurance reduction. I'm going to say that too. BTW, the default slot in healing aura would best be served with an endurance reduction for now. And again, these are kind of moot points because at this low a level, you're not gonna worry about slotting because you won't have any slots anymore. You don't have any money unless somebody sugar daddied you. But you're gonna be leveling up so fast that it won't matter. So unless you're purposely trying to play slow, shut off your XP, and are doing a lot of the arcs and stuff like that because you're trying to collect merits and that sort of thing, you're not gonna worry about it. Now, if you are doing a slow level merit hunting, doing the missions, then yeah, I would worry more about, this sort of thing. But anyway, so she agrees. Endurance is 13. That's hefty. Updated slot. Keeps your sustain. Endurance reduction. Updated. Here we go. So we got melodic binding, accuracy, accuracy, end reduction, end reduction, end reduction. So here's what our mids is currently looking like. Go over here. So she's saying to put slot here, and kind of just throw the IOs in here. Accuracy, endurance reduction, accuracy, endurance reduction. Now that's what her current plan is. I agree with it. I am not going to complain about it at all. I would also have my default end mod in here. Default running, assuming I had the money for this. All right, I'd have the default slots in here, and I'll just throw these in my sort of basic plan here, and this, and then sprint I'd throw end redux. So there's sort of my just basic plan for any character if I was actually leveling them up slowly and I was buying one enhancement at a time type of thing. I would do something like that for my inherent powers. Okay, so I'm not gonna worry about it. The other thing, the other way you could do this, of course, is kind of level up and not worry about the set bonuses or set slotting, whatever, until you're done at level 50, and then swing back through. And then ask her to say, hey, how many slots you put in this power, that power, that power? What things should we enhance? And then what I would love to be able to say, hey, what sets would you pick? What global boosts are you looking for? Accuracy, damage, recharge, endurance. What is your strategy? What's your plan? And feed that to her and see what she as a goal and see what she comes up with. We'll kind of keep doing it this way, one at a time, just get an idea of what sort of crazy build she's coming up with. Right now, I don't really necessarily agree with anything she's decided to do. I think it's been pretty smart so far. All right, now let's go on. So we're now at level 4. So here's where things get a little more interesting. So level 4, let's see if we can do this. So at level 4, we get access to our tier 3 secondary power. So we'll have to introduce that. The tier 3 secondary power is absorb pain. So I'm going to give her this information. And then I have to introduce the pool powers. So I'll give that as an option. I don't want to overwhelm her though. So I think I'll just give her one of the pools. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Come on, stupid. Hold on, let me pause this and pull this up. All right, so I wanted to copy paste this over here. So here's what we had said at level 2. So I'm going to start with that same idea. I also like to kind of use this repetitive process using the same language with her so that we kind of get into a rhythm. So at 4th level, you get access to your tier 3 power from your secondary power set. You can also select from any of the earlier powers from the primary secondary that you have skipped so far. Such as Heal Other and Hymn of Dissonance. All right. In addition, the pool power sets unlock at 4th, and you have access to any of their first 3 powers. This is where it gets, like, if I were just say that and say, hey, good luck, it'll get confused. So pool powers, right? Pool powers. Concealment, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. So I wanna give her the specifics. I think I'm gonna use force of will. Yeah, I think we're gonna go here. I think that's gonna be my plan, Stan. I think we're going to go with the force of will and let her know we can resolve mighty leap and project will are our 3 options. I don't think I'm going to worry about anything else until much later. So let's just bring this up now. Let's bring it up now. So here's what I want to do. You can all blah, 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 power system. The pool set, I definitely want Frisson Sensate to dip into is called Force of Will. While there are other pools we might go after later, this is the main one I'm interested in as far as taking multiple powers from, including a travel power and another cone attack that will fit in with Symphony Control's numerous cone controls. Force of will includes the following 3 options to consider. And we're going to go ahead and grab those powers. It's these first 3. Let me go here. Controller. Controller. We want pool sets, force of will. Here we go. We want one of these 3. Is it literally available at level 1? I didn't think that it would be. Let me go double check that. I stand corrected. Pool powers. Are pool powers available at level 1? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. That's misleading then. So first, second, yeah, because it would be up here. All right, so there's a little bit of a disconnect between what CD of Vieta says and what the wiki says. Like here it's saying level available is 114. I think these are all 4th level. All right, so I'm going to copy those and we're going to paste that here. And then we'll give the details of these powers. Project will. That would be the one I would least likely take if it was me. But I want to see, maybe she wants to pick it for some reason, and then we'll consider it. One of the things is it has a knockback to it, which, you know, hey, that's cool. But we're preventing knockback with our immobilizes, so I don't think so. Project will's numbers are. Boom. Get rid of that. I don't know why that's sitting there. Okay. Access to boom. Let's project will. And then I also want this number crap here. Standard effects. Child effects. I don't know what triggers the child effects anymore. Psionic, that's your first stalker. If source is a stalker. If source is a meter. Yeah, I don't know. If source is greater than K meter over 0. I'm not sure what that means. I know this is like corrupt or stalker controller. All right, let's see if we can do this. Let's do this. I think the child effects are going to be this. So here's the main effect, right? Let's see if I can figure this out. Boom. Its effects are boom that. Take this. So there's your containment damage is what this is. Containment. Throw that in there. And anything else? It's PvP, child effects. All right. I think that's it. Okay. So there's that. Then we've got we can resolve. We can resolve. So grab we can resolve's numbers. Copy this. We can resolves numbers or effects. Numbers, yeah, whatever. Numbers are paste. Its effects are. This one's much simpler. Thank you very much for that. Boom. And then we got Mighty Leap. Copy. Boom. Mighty Leap. Mighty Leap's numbers are. I wish I could just paste the website and it would go and look. But I've tried that before and it doesn't work too well. Does not work too well from what I've seen. Let's grab this crap here. Okay. Its effects are. So you can see how this can get confusing for Kathy if you pump in so much stuff in here. At 4th level, you have access to your tier 3 power. In addition, the pool power sets unlock at 4th, and you have access to the first 3 powers. So let's do this. Let's insert the tier 3 power from empathy. You could choose is absorb pain, which I wouldn't take. But let's see, she might want to take it. Copy is absorb pain. Its numbers are, paste that. Its effects are, go grab the other stuff. Take this crap, take this crap, take this crap. There it is. Boom. I want to see what the hell she's going to do with this. Bang. I kind of want to transition this. However, if you opt to take a pool power at this level, the pools that I definitely want Frisson Sensate to dip in is called Force of Will, blah, blah, blah. Force of Will includes the following 3 options to consider at 4th level. Project Will. Weaken Resolve. Kind of get these lined up for it. Weaken Resolve. Project Will. Weaken Resolve. Get these all lined up nice and pretty. Mighty Leap. And then we got all the numbers. All right. What's your decision and why is what we're going to do. What is your decision? A skipped power? Absorb pain? Or one of the Force of Will pool powers? Explain your reasoning. Let's see if she can figure this crazy shit out. At level 4, Frisson Sensate has a tough but important choice that will help shape his playstyle trajectory. Whether to lean harder into support, boost his personal damage utility, or start planning for mobility and future synergy. Let's evaluate your options with your themes, endurance concerns, and build goals in mind. All right, very good. Absorb pain. Tier 3 empathy. Massive single target heal. Costs virtually no endurance, but hurts you and shuts down your own regen for 20 seconds. 100% heal resistance keeps others from saving you afterward. Thematically dramatic. You literally take others' pain, but very high risk and doesn't scale well until you've got reliable self-sustain or mitigation tools. Not a good early pick. You don't yet have the tools to stabilize after casting it, and the cost to risk ratio is steep this early. 1,000% agreement on that one, Kathy. Hymn of Dissonance, your tier 1 skip power. Strong single target control. High damage, minus 25. Synergizes with your existing immobilizes. Would give Frisson a nice single target shutdown option, especially versus elite targets or bosses. You'll eventually want it for controller procs as holds or great proc carriers. Great midterm value. Very thematic, freezing someone in psychic turmoil. If your immediate concern is locking down lieutenants or priority targets, this is a valid and safe pick. Agreed. Heal other. Solid single target ranged heal. Simple, reliable support action. Less impactful when soloing or duoing, but grows in value over time. Doesn't strain endurance like healing aura can when spammed. Good long-term utility, but not necessary yet. And if you're not seeing allies drop, consider this at 5 or 7, depending, more like 6 or 8, depending on your team versus solo ratio. Force of Will pool powers. Project Will. Single target psionic damage plus conditional bonus hit if target's already crowd controlled. Low endurance, fast recharge, solid damage. Synergizes with your control powers beautifully. You're already mobilizing or holding targets. You get a reliable filler that punishes locked targets. Perfect thematic fit for Frisson's emotional assault style. Efficient, synergistic, thematic, great pick. Okay. Weaken Resolve. Single target debuff. Excellent setup debuff for teammates or to weaken bosses. 30-second cooldown makes it a prelude power, not a core rotation filler. Slightly expensive endurance cost early on. Great in teams, but less impactful solos. Not bad, but better later when you have more recharge or slot room. Agree. Mighty Leap. Mobility toggle. Launch jump. Costs that much per second, but gives travel utility and sets you up for fall damage immunity with later leaps. Stylish thematic. Frees up your travel pick later if you don't want standard fly super jump. You mentioned you want multiple powers from Force Will, so you'll likely get this soon anyway. Important, but not urgent. You're still low level and can get by on Swift plus Hurdle plus base travel for now. Recommended pick, project will from the force of willpower. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of feel like the hold. I kind of feel like the hold should be in here. Why? High synergy with your control powers. Triggers bonus damage on crowd control targets. Okay, I mean, I buy that. You immobilize and then hit them with force of will. You can get the containment damage. Low endurance cost, which fits your current priority. Okay, I mean, I'm okay with that idea. Adds a ranged filler attacks. You don't rely purely on controls. Yes, we need that. Thematically perfect. A psychic blast of emotional force executed when your enemy is most vulnerable. Sets you on the force of will pool path, which aligns with your long-term plans. Power pool summary afterward. Melodic binding. Area of stasis. Healing or a project will. Then we got fitness. So this is what we got right now. Frisson now has rhythm, control, punish, sustain while managing his endurance, ready to level up 5. All right, so here's what I want to go with what she says. I have to, unless I absolutely 1,000% disagree. I'm gonna go with it. So she says, project will. All right, very good. Let's do level 5. Let's see what's gonna happen next. Let's do level 5. And see where you want to put the next 2 enhancement slots. Assume we put an accuracy enhancement in the project will default slot. Cannot type. All right, let's see what she wants to do. So now I'm trying to, all right, let's speed it up. Let's say, hey, let's do this again. Just picked it up, project will, solid low endurance side blast, synergized beautifully with its control kit. At level 5, we gain 2 new slots. We now have 4 powers enhanced like this. Accuracy, endurance. All right, great. Where do you want to put these? Continue managing endurance drain, especially from powers used often. Boost early damage and efficiency. We now have real offense with project will. Lay groundwork for eventual set bonus synergy. Immobilize, blast, heal. Add 1 to project will, endurance reduction. It'll be frequent cast, and 7.5 adds up fast. Keeps your damage rhythm sustainable. Add 1 to healing aura. Accuracy. We don't need accuracy. Insurance. Let me just correct that. Okay, well, let's see what the alternative plan is. I like to do an alternative. Add 1 to RF stasis recharge. 1 to healing aura accuracy recharge. We don't need accuracy, so recharge would make sense for the healing aura. Recharge on the area of stasis, if you want it to be more frequent, this is true. Recommended plan. It says N redux there, accuracy there, healing reliable. It thinks you have to roll accuracy checks in your healing. Let's do this. Let me correct this. Healing aura affects self, so there is no to hit check and no need for accuracy. You're absolutely right. It's auto hit on all affected. Yeah, well, I know I'm right. Why did you misread it? You had the data. That clears up a slot for something much more meaningful. All right, so what do you want to do then? Project will, accuracy, endurance, and recharge is the recommendation. Why recharge? Lowers the 8-second cooldown, which makes it more available more often in team play, helps smooth your rhythm, allowing you to cycle between support and control more fluidly, pairs well with later set bonuses. So yeah, all right, I mean, I don't disagree. So we're going to go ahead with that slotting plan. So here is what she's suggesting we do. Make sure this makes sense. So she's saying put 1 here, 1 here. This could be recharge. This is accuracy. This is endurance. That's her suggestion. Very good. All right, let's move on to level 6. Let's move on to level 6. Let's see what we can do at level 6. Leveling chart saith we get our 4th primary power pool. Power is available. All right, so let's let her know. Let's move on to level 6. At this stage, Frisson gets access to his tier 4 power from his primary Symphony Control set. That power is... What is the name of that power? Go back up to find Symphony Control, and the power is... It's like Impassioned Serenade. Impassioned Serenade. Alright, so Impassioned Serenade, what's that? Single target confused? Alright, so let's give her this information. Copy this. That power is Impassioned Serenade. Its numbers are... Boom. Its effects are... Go grab the information from City of Data here. Here are its numbers. 8 seconds, 8.5 endurance. What? What? Boom. Sorry, it's... Oops, let me fix this. X that out. So is Impassioned Serenade, and its effects, it's made a boo-boo here. Its numbers are that. Back this up. Back that up. Put this down here. The effects go down here. And the effects are as follows. We're going to go ahead and grab this nonsense. Stupid thing. All right, throw this in there. Copy this. Throw this over here. What do you want to choose here, and why? Right? We got all the information she needs to decide. Passion Serenade. Okay, so we can clarify that he can choose this power or any of the powers he's skipped from earlier, including his Force of Will pool power set. What do you want to choose here and why? All right, let's see what Kathy has to say for herself. At level 6, his choices begin to shape his specialty, whether he becomes a master of layered control, a stronger support backbone, or starts expanding his utility toolkit. You just unlocked Tier 4 Symphony Control and Impassioned Serenade, a single target confused power with damage over time. Let's break that down, compare it to other options to make a smart pick based on current kit, playstyle, and endurance-conscious approach. Option 1, Impassioned Serenade. We've got DOT Psionic. You got a 30-second Confuse, a minor DOT, 1.2 per second, 19.8 up front, high accuracy, modest endurance cost, recharges 8 seconds, so it can be used frequently. Pros, excellent soft control, turns an enemy against their allies, helps in spawn disruptions, especially when layered with Immobilize. Stylish and thematic, Frisson quite literally seduces enemies with song. Control type diversity adds Confuse to your crowd control roster. Currently Immobilize heavy. Yeah, that was your choices, Kathy. Cons. Confuse is less reliable in small fights or solo play. I'd probably argue the opposite of that. It's actually more reliable if I confuse a single like lieutenant or boss or something like that and let them beat down the others. In a large group fight, it doesn't have much use. Minimal damage. It's not a damage power despite DOT. It does not stack easily or scale well in short fights, fast-paced fights. This is true. Best when you want a utility and flavor. In teams, it adds chaos and buys time. Solo, it's a hit or miss unless you know how to maximize confused enemies. Option 2, Hymn of Dissonance. The single target hold, strong damage recharge, minus recharge. Adds single target lockdown, better alpha disruption, strong damage and proc friendly. You skipped it at 1 and 2, but it's aging very well here. Best when you want stronger single target control, lockdown options versus elite foes, or a proc core. Heal other ranged, fast targeted heal, emergency clutch save, useful as content gets harder, or if you see an enemy's your teammates drop, does not strain your endurance much at all. I would disagree. It's like a 13 on endurance. Best when you're playing in teams frequently or anticipate tough fights where you need to rescue squishy allies. Option 4, weaken resolve, your debuff. You let's see, endurance is manageable, pairs well with your team, control, you're setting up group spikes. Yep, yep, yep. You plan to take other force of will powers. It's a setup tool. Best when you want to start the debuff chain and build into some set play synergy. Option 5, Mighty Leap, travel toggle, thematically fitting. You can delay this until level 10 or later unless movement is holding you back. Best when you need early vertical freedom or plan to take the jump synergy soon. Recommended Impassioned Serenade. I think I agree. Actually, no, I don't think I agree. Why would I take the single target confuse over the single target hold when you just, like she just said, hey, here's your confuse, not great damage, doesn't stack or blah blah blah. Well, him a dissonance, blah blah blah. I want to see what the rationale is. I'm gonna challenge her on this one. If secondary pick, if you're leaning toward more mechanical punch, then would be the next best for control. Why do you think the single target confuse would be better than your single target hold at this point? Excellent question, and honestly, it's close. The decision between Impassioned Serenade and Hymn of Dissonance depends heavily on playstyle, team context, and tactical needs at this stage. Let's walk through it from a tactical, mechanical, thematic lens. Thematic. At this point, I necessarily wouldn't split hairs over a theme unless I was going for confuse as part of the theme. Impassioned Serenade. Deeply flavorful. Frisson song compels enemies to act. Okay, I get that. It's manipulation over domination. This fits the emotional, empathic, seductive angle. Okay, I agree there. Hymn of Dissonance, still thematic, overwhelming psionic disruption that paralyzes. More direct and aggressive than serenading, but fits disabling through intense emotion. Slight edge to Serenade for creative expression and emotional flavor, but let's talk mechanical effectiveness, which is your real question. Confuse versus the hold. Single, single. Upfront damage, about 56 total, it's saying. Is that true? 19.8, 1.2 DOT times. Go for, is it tick every second? Where is it? Where is it? Impassioned Serenade. We are doing 1.22 dude every second for 36. All right, so it does have a decent chunk of damage to it. Okay. We'll go with that. I see. So you are going to do some more damage. Duration is long. 30 seconds possibly. Enemy is incapacitated for 22. Control strength situational, depends on the enemies nearby. This is, I think, the problem. You're confusing them, but I think you also, the damage triggers aggro. So if you're going to trigger aggro either way, I'd rather have maybe somebody completely held than confused. Less effective for proc use. Excellent proc. Can disrupt groups by turning lieutenants. Best for neutralizing lieutenants and bosses instantly. Why confuse? Creates chaos in larger fights. Okay. Stacks well with a. Now, earlier you said it didn't stack well. Now it stacks well. Confuse the elites. You can't just confuse the elite. What's the confuse strength? Confuse is what a mag. I think it's a mag 3. Right? Mag 3? Pretty sure. Mag 2? Is only Mag 2 on this thing? Or is that the... That's the pet. What is the Mag 3? It doesn't list it here. It's Mag 3. So Mag 3, that's what I thought. So you got Mag 3 Confuse versus Mag 3, so you're not confusing the elite at all. It's as likely as me confusing as this holding. Very on theme as soft controller debuffer who manipulates emotions. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. The soft control doesn't overwrite your current immobilized control loop, but why hold? Control purity stops the key target dead in its tracks. Full stop. Easier to rely in all in all content, regardless of enemy AI. Higher burst damage and proc compatibility. Immediate tactical value, especially versus runners or ranged threats. Hymn of Dissonance edges out if you're prioritizing control certainty over utility, stronger burst over proc and proc synergy, more effective solo unpredictable groups, cleaner progression path. You're still early in the build. Right now, shutting down a dangerous lieutenant is more reliable and impactful than gambling on confusion. Him also works regardless of how many enemies nearby, unlike Confuse, which can fizzle in 1v1 or small fights. Revised recommendation. Take him. All right, so see, I questioned her, made her think about it, and now she's like, yeah, take him. It completes your control toolkit. AoE immobilize, single target immobilize, single target hold, proc worthy, more useful across content. You can still pick Serenade later. It's flavorful. Yeah, let's lock it in. Let's lock it in. Let's lock that in and then place the next two enhancement slots we get at level 7. Yeah, see, I mean, I didn't agree with her thought there. It just didn't make sense. Why would you, I'm already kind of missing it. Now by level 6, you're saying I still don't have my single target hold? I mean, that's like your one lockdown, whatever. Because at this point, we've got an immobilized, they can still hit me. AoE immobilized, they can still hit me. Project Will, I might be able to knock something down, but I have like KB protection, I think, and at least from the area of stasis. So I'm not even knocking stuff down Project Will necessarily. But now I've got something that for me is a little bit of a harder control. I could see the Impassioned Serenade more for the damage than the Confuse. That might actually be a better option than, let's say, Project Will. Other than, hey, I want to go into the Force of Will chain at some point. Because then I almost see this like a Dominator where I'm going to go juggling targets with single target mobilize, single target knockdown, single target hold, single target confuse. Something like that. I can lather in 3 or 4 of these things and have my AoEs starting to bang away. So I kind of like this. Could be a pretty potent damagey controller with all these attacks that you get. That's why I wanted to go with Symphony, pairing it up with Empathy, because Empathy is terrible as far as you're not debuffing anything, right? It's not gonna save your life, that's for sure. So I think this is definitely a doable thing. So yeah, if I had to, because I didn't realize it did as much damage as it does, so I could see this could be proccable as well for damage. You could throw in a couple of the, I think there's at least 1 or 2 of the Confused sets have damage procs. So I used to make this a damage attack. But the problem is that I believe it triggers at aggro. So if you hit somebody with your Confused, you hit them, they get damaged, they're confused, but then everybody else around them starts attacking you. So it's not like going to buy you any advantage over than just freaking single target holding somebody. Maybe you hit them and they get confused a little while and start shooting somebody next to them. That's always kind of fun. But yeah, that was, I don't know. I just don't like not taking my single target hold yet by level 6. All right, let's see anything else that Kathy's adding here. So boom, power slot, Hymn of Dissonance. There we go. Accuracy's going in there. Priority targets for slotting. Newly added power, high potential, strong damage control. Endurance is a bit of a steep. Needs endurance reduction. Area of stasis could benefit from recharge damage or control, depending on how often you use it. So recommended slot placement. They're saying Hymn of Dissonance getting endurance reduction and Project Will getting recharge. I don't know about that. That's what they're recommending. I can go with this. I can do this. I agree with that and going boom and boom. Now what they're suggesting is Project Will gets another slot. Why not Aria of Stasis? If this is your big AoE and you're doing accuracy endurance, why not throw some damage in there or maybe another endurance because it is pretty high cost. It's still pretty high. It's 913. So don't know about that. They're saying project will, and I think they want to put a recharge in it. Why this allocation? Hymn of Dissonance, getting endurance under control early is key to making this power usable on cooldown. It's a solid part of your lockdown chain, accuracy, endurance reduction. Project Will, giving this a recharge slot lets it become your default filler, always ready after you lock enemies. It's light on endurance, and this improves your tempo and responsiveness in long fights. It has a bit of a longish activation, though. Interesting. I mean, I'll probably would force slot it anyway at some point. Like, especially if I skip the confuse. We'll pencil it in. I'll pencil it in. You can always change it, right? We're not locked in anything. All right, I'm gonna go maybe another couple powers with this, get us to about level 12, and then we'll kind of call it with that. But kind of go through this process. You can see what she's doing and how she's figuring it out. So now she's already kind of getting into level 8. What's your next power? You'll get access to your tier 4 from empathy, fortitude, ooh, googly eyes, pool powers, previously skipped pick like impassioned serenade, weaken resolve. Let's make sure she's right about that. So the leveling chart says we're here at level 8. We get access to our fifth. Yeah, we don't get, so they're confused. We get access to our level 5. Yeah, we don't get level 4 yet. So at 8th level, let me correct her. Okay, let me correct you. On the homecoming servers, you get access to your tier 5 primary power for Symphony Control. This is Dreadful Discord. Let me give you the numbers on Dreadful Discord. I like this power. Dreadful Discord. This is your Cone Fear. And the numbers are dun dun dun. Click on this. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this information here. We need all that. Copy this. Shit. I don't know if it has it. Hold on. Maybe it knows everything. Stop. Let me give you the most up-to-date information before you decide. Here are Dreadful Discord's numbers. Here are the effects. Paste that. Go grab the numbers from over here. Don't know if it had all the accurate stuff or not. Yeah, I think it had it wrong. It's a 70-foot cone. And I think it was saying it was like a 60-foot cone. Yeah, so it already had it wrong information. All right, so see, it's assuming it knows what the frick that power does. And it don't know. You don't know. You don't. Okay, make sure I got all that correct. Ay, 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 ay. All right, so I got that. Here are the numbers. Do, 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 do. Cool. Here are the effects. Let's get that. Or you could take any of the skipped powers from earlier. There we go. Let's see what she has to say for herself this time Oops, let me pull this up for you guys because you're like, hey man, show me. All right, so I just punched in the updated info. All right, so I said, let me correct you. In the homecoming servers, you get access to the tier 5 power. It's Dreadful Discord. Dreadful Discord. Here's the basics, and I accidentally pressed enter. So she started giving me a evaluation. I said, hold on. Let me give you the most up-to-date info. There's the numbers from City of Data. Here are the effects from City of Data. Or you can take a skip power from earlier. Awesome. Thanks for the full stat drop. Let's do a sharp analysis now. So again, here's an example how the AI messes up. So I accidentally fired in go before I'd given the information rather than it recognizing that and going, hey, wait a minute, could you make sure you give me all the right data? It just started going with, I don't know what data, but it had the wrong range of the attack and stuff. So it doesn't admit that, oh, I don't know something. It's just like, I'm just going to please you and go. So you got to make sure that it knows what the frick it's talking about before you tell it to go. Once it has all the information, it's really, really good. All right, Dreadful Discord, Tier 5, Symphony Control, gives me the summary. Okay, let me just confirm something. Yep, okay. There it is. Set compatibility, AoE control, sonic damage, decent options. Very manageable, 8.5. Only has the 8.5 cost? That's freaking cheap if that's true. Endurance. Yeah, 8.5. Wow. How does that so cheap compared to like the single target freaking hold is 8.5? Strengths. Burst AoE control adds a 4-second panic button to disperse or interrupt enemy mobs. Great for breaking alpha strikes. I agree. Fears are really good for that. Strong upfront damage. Higher base psionic than any other power you've picked. AoE pressure tool. Supplements your control lockdown with a push away effect to stagger foes. Synergy with the kit. Immobilize to discord enemies cower in place. Confuse the discord cast layer. I don't have confused. Hold to discard burst on lockdown. Weaknesses, only 4-second fear, very short crowd control, unlike your 20-second holds and immobilizes. 45-degree arc is narrow, harder to catch full spawns than Aria of Stasis. Agreed. Longer recharge, you can't rely on this every fight. Doesn't disable ranged attacks if enemies aren't cowering. Fear can sometimes be less predictable than straight control. Contextual comparison, your skip powers. Heal other. Bread and butter single target save adds real support muscle to empathy. Impassioned Serenade, confuse utility, still thematic but less reliable. Weaken Resolve, the minus resist defense debuff, great prep tool for tough fights but long cooldown and single target. Might Elite, movement utility, not urgent unless travel's annoying. My recommendation is to take Dreadful Discord at level 8. Why? You're ready for a high impact AoE burst control to complement your current slow burn rhythm. 4 seconds of fear buys space, resets momentum, or interrupts dangerous mobs. Its damage is solid. Its low endurance cost aligns with your economy-minded build. It diversifies Frisson's emotional arsenal. Now he inspires dread as well as paralysis and confusion. I didn't take confusion. Usage style, open with Arya to immobilize, discord to scatter or interrupt, pick targets with him, melodic, project will, safe emergency disruption, bosses or reinforcements mid-fight. You'll still have plenty of space to work heal other or weaken resolve in soon, especially around levels 10 and 12 when you have flexible picks. Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on and put the 2 slots from level 9 into our powers. I want to just correct something. We're putting the default accuracy into Dreadful. So where should we put the new 2 slots? I think I also want to mention that I had made the recharge in Project Will. I did go ahead and put the previous 2 slots into Project Will up to 3 now, and him 2 total. All right, let's see what she thinks about this. Oh, no, no. Slotted fall. No, 3-slotted, 2-slotted. We can now decide where the 2 new slots. All right, where do you want to put them? Slotting priorities level 9. Dreadful Discord. It's your new AoE control nuke, but it has a long recharge. With just 1 accuracy, it's functional, but needs recharge to stay relevant. Recharge slot makes it more flexible for clutch group disruption. Priority 2, Stasis. Still only has 2 slots. It's your main AoE immobilize. Adding recharge keeps the pace of your growing rhythm. This is a good prep step if you're considering immobilize sets later. Lockdown doesn't go in immobilize, my friend. It goes into. Sorry, you guys aren't seeing this. Just reading what she's suggesting here. So here's where she's at. Priority 1, Dreadful Discord, new AoE, long recharge. So she's saying recharging that would be 1 priority. Priority 2, Stasis. It only has 2 slots. Adding recharge helps to keep pace. And then she's saying it's a good prep step if you're considering immobilize sets like Gravitational Anchor, which is true. But Lockdown's a hold set, doesn't go in there. So she's confused about sets. So recommended slot allocation is to put 1 in Stasis and 1 in Dreadful Discord. Dreadful Discord now becomes more viable in every fight, not just emergencies. Stasis is your most used AoE control, keeps it tight and fast. Both slot upgrades increase tempo, not just raw power. You'll feel more fluid in your control and attack loop. Endurance impact, you've balanced your costs well. All main controls have an endurance reduction, and healing aura is efficient. Dreadful plus project will are already tuned. With these new slots, Frisson becomes rhythmically seamless, a flowing cycle of lockdown, disruption, and performance. Would you like to go to level 10? Yeah, in a second. So here's where we're at. We're putting so at 8 we went Dreadful Discord. And then at 9 we put 1 here and 1 here. We're going accuracy. She's suggesting recharge here and recharge here. Okay. Then we've got level 10, and then we'll do level 12 so I can get myself like DO level, and we'll see what this looks like. Because for me, usually this is what I would do if it was a brand new character and I don't feel like farting around with, let's say, running a bunch of low-level content. Making my new character maybe run the Death from Below trial a couple times. Get myself to level 10, level 12. If you run that thing like 4 times, you'll definitely be like level 12, no problem. Especially with double XP. So this is sort of an easily manageable target for like a first outing, is to get to level 12. That then gives you the ability to slot level 15s, which would be like my entry level IO sets. So I definitely can see that working. So let's see what we have access to at level 10 that we can play around with for this character. So at level 10, now we have access to our 4th secondary power. So we can go ahead and put this in here. So at level 10, we get access to our tier 4 empathy power, or we can choose any of the powers we've skipped so far. At the 4th empathy power is this is empathy. I think it's what, resurrect? No, thank you. I mean, really, at this point, we're not empathy anything, right? I don't disagree with. I'm not taking resurrect. I don't take the ally res, as I've talked about this many a time in my other videos. It's just, to me, it's a waste. Because I can just go buy a break, not a break free, but just buy a awaken or buy one of the temporary res powers or something like that, or somebody just make their own. I don't know. It's stupid. Is resurrect the ally res? And plus I don't even know if this fits this guy's theme, like bringing people back from the dead. I don't think that's what he's about. Suffer. Resurrect. Effects. This is this. I'm pretty sure she's going to agree with me that it's a waste to pick that power. Numbers. Throw this in here. Numbers. Boom. Effects. Boom. Uh, Spoiler. I feel ally reses are a wasted pick given all the other ways to bring an ally back from dead. Plus, I don't know if it's thematic for Frisson. Frisson. Pop that in there. Let's see. Agreed 100%. Of course you agree with me. You're kissing my ass. Let's break it down. But your instincts are right. Resurrect is a weak fit, both mechanically and thematically, for Frisson Sensate, especially at this stage of his career. There's the empathy power. Why Resurrect is not worth it. Combat reses are rarely useful. Long animation time, short range, high cost make this impractical during battle. True. If a teammate dies, it's often safer and faster for them to use an Awaken, Super Inspire, base TP than wait 3 seconds for you. True, especially under fire. High opportunity cost. You only get so many power picks. Taking a high cooldown, utility res delays stronger offensive control. Blah. Yes. Thematically awkward. Frisson's theme is emotional manipulation. Resing doesn't feel like natural expression of his talents. If you want to roleplay reviving with a song, there are better ways to represent that with healing and control. Agreed. So what should you take? You've got several great skip picks that are more impactful and more on theme. We got Heal Other, still the best bang for buck support power skip so far. Okay, I agree. Extremely thematic as an empath. Channeling your focus into one person who needs it. We can resolve. Single target debuff, long recharge, devastating prelude. You plan to take more of these anyway. It fits Frisson's vibe. Psychically breaking down defenses, stripping away composure. And then the bronze goes to Impassioned Serenade, the Confuse, utility, thematically rich, less tactically critical at this point. Could come later if you want variety. They're recommending Heal Other. Why? You're at the point where teams matter more, and this fills the clutch save gap. Okay, I can start buying that. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you get in your teens, you're starting to team up more probably. You've already got AoE healing. This adds precision support without bloating your endurance. It's thematically harmonious with his empathic emotional attunement, pouring your energy into a single person to keep the performance alive. Agreed. Agree with your choice. I would put a default endurance reduction into Heal Other. Where do you want to put your next 2 slots at a level 11? All right, let her think about that while I go over to our mids builder. So we are going with Heal Other. We're going to slap an endurance reduction in there as our default. And then at level 11, let's see. Current power choices. Here we go. Got it. Level slotting. Slot candidate. Hymn of Dissonance. It only has 2 slots. It's one of your strongest control damage hybrids. Recharge your damage boosts it into a stronger core piece of your single turret rhythm. Later becomes a strong candidate for proc sets like Ghost or Widows. Okay. Add recharge here to increase its uptime and flexibility. Heal Other. It's only got endurance reduction. Adding recharge lets it act as a reliable spot heal. 4-second cooldown. Cutting that down even a little increases your rescue timing. Add recharge here. Turns into ready to go support spike. Recommended slot allocation at level 11. She's suggesting recharge and recharge. I don't necessarily disagree. Okay, so they're saying this and this. I think the recharge here makes sense because now we can stack holds more quickly. I mean, the fact that it already is recharging in 4 seconds to make it recharge even faster, is that necessary? Only if is fast and furious. I might even rather see another recharge and healing aura before I did that. But, I could see getting some more juice into this power at some point. So, fine. We'll slap that in there. Let me go ahead and save this just to make sure we're not going to lose any of our information. All right, there we go. I think let's move on to 12. Let's move on to 12. Let's move on to our level 12 pick. This is an important milestone because we get access to level 15 DOs for the first time. Which will boost our powers more than the basic TOs we've been forced to use to this point. All right, let's go ahead and see. What do we get at 12? At 12, we get our sixth option for the primary. At level 12, Frisson gets access to his tier 6 not empathy, symphony power. This symphony power, and that power is dun 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 enfeebling lullaby. All right, enfeebling lullaby, the cone sleep. Go to sleep. Copy this. Enfeebling lullaby. Its numbers are, let's go ahead and see what the numbers are. Copy this. 70-foot cone. 45-degree arc. Another little skinny little arc. My arcs are so skinny. And then what are its effects? Its effects. Here we go. Grab its effects here. Child effects, child effects. We don't care about no child effects. It's all PvP crap, right? Let's see something. Is this all part of this? Psi damage. Yeah. Okay. I gotta grab all this crap. All right. All this crap. Copy. Paste. Would you select this new power or one of the others we have skipped so far? What is your justification? Punch it in. All right, so I'm going on to this next thing. And I've put in all the information we need for the enfeebling lullaby. Enfeebling lullaby. So here we are, enfeebling lullaby. And let's see what she thinks should be taken at level 12. Level 12 is a huge pivot point for Frisson, not just because of new power access, he also has access to the dual origin, significantly improving power, accuracy, control strength. Let's weigh in on the new power, enfeebling lullaby. 70-foot range, 45-degree arc, 16 targets, mag 3 sleep, damage debuff. It's got psi DOT, 45-second recharge, 15.6 endurance, very high. Minimal damage, longish cast time. Strengths, powerful crowd control, and openers or emergencies. You can sleep nearly a whole spawn. Minus 20% damage debuff lands even on sleep immune targets. Makes it useful versus bosses' AVs. Great for pre-engagement softening or recovering momentum mid-fight. Thematically strong, haunting lullaby that weakens resolve and quiets aggression. Weaknesses. Sleep breaks on damage, so teammates can easily invalidate it unless you're coordinated. The minus damage is kind of a nice perk, though. By the way, I think all sleep should have a minus damage, or at least endurance drain should have a minus damage. Something to give those more feebly powers more utility. Very high endurance cost, long recharge, niche value when you already got a hold, immobilize, fear, and confuse. I don't have confuse, remember that. Remaining skip powers to consider: weaken resolve, impassioned serenade, mighty leap. Recommended pick, recommending weaken resolve. Why? It's a direct synergy upgrade to your control damage rhythm. Enhances your team's performance and your own psychic damage with minus resist. Helps you prep for future force of will powers like Wall of Force or Unleash Potential. It costs half as much endurance as Lullaby. It's always useful even on AVs and bosses. It shores up a part of Frisson's theme, breaking defense with psychic pressure. Strategy: you open with Aria of Stasis or Hymn to lock down. Fire Weaken Resolve on a key target. Punish with Project Will, Dreadful Discord, Confuse Fear layering. Nice. Yeah. Where are you putting the next two enhancement slots if uh this power gets a default accuracy? So, all right, I don't disagree with what she's suggesting. I could see, I mean, at some point I want to take Weaken Resolve. So is it now or later? I mean, yeah, I don't think that Amphibian Lullaby is some sort of weak power. I don't really care about the sleep, whatever. I like the idea that it interrupts and does some damage, has a decent range on it. So I'm definitely going to take it. But I think for sure Weaken Resolve is going to be a nice, single target spike. We hit somebody, we can put some damage procs in that as well. And when we get into our incarnates, we're going to be actually, I think, going into the alpha that has to hit and defense debuff boosting. All right, so let's see where she wants with these last two. That before we end our video here. So at level 12, assessment. Here's where we're at. We got Melodic Binding, Accuracy, Endurance, Aria Stasis, Accuracy, Endurance, Recharge, Healing Aura, Endurance, Recharge, Heal Other, Endurance, Recharge, Project Will, and Hymn of Dissonance, Accuracy, Endurance, Recharge, Dreadful, Discord, Accuracy, Recharge, Weaken Resolve, Accuracy. High impact slot candidates, Dreadful Discord, add an endurance reduction slot. Still one of your most expensive powers at 8.5 per cast. Now that it's slotted for accuracy and recharge, shaving down the cost increases uptime viability. Long cooldown means you want it to be sustainable every time it's up. We can resolve, add a recharge or endurance reduction. Recharge helps this 30-second power become ready every engagement. Endurance reduction is also great if you're starting to feel the drain from using both this and Project Will in short succession. If you're in endurance control mode, go end red here. Recommended slotting, they're saying accuracy recharge. Sorry, two endurances. What's Weaken Resolve's numbers again? Let's see, does it need Weaken Resolve? What is the endurance on this thing? 7.8. Yeah, it's a little bit chonky. A little chonky. All right, I'm going to go with the recommendations. I think that makes sense. So let's do this. Put one here. And putting one, where was the other place? Dreadful Discord. Dreadful Discord. So put one here. And endurance reduction. Endurance reduction. I think this is making sense. Save this. All right, I think we have ourselves our level 12 build. Let's go ahead and bring this over here. Where is it? I think we've got level 12 build here. Let me do this. So I think this is what we got. We've got ourselves an effective right now early game build. Let's get this up here so we can see. I think if you were to grab these powers, single target immobilize, or a heal, cone immobilize, single target attack with some knockdown. We've got a single target hold. We got a cone fear, single target heal, and then a single target debuff. I think if you had this as your level 12 build with level 15 IOs or DOs, whatever it is you've got dropping to you at that point or able to afford and craft, this would be a very effective starting build for the next 10 levels just about. Usually I'll do this. I'll get myself like level 12, put a bunch of level 15 IOs in there, and then I'll start playing my guys, sort of, pick up teams, that kind of stuff. And then go from there. And then around level 22, I'll maybe do a respec, grab level 25 IOs, take that into level 32 territory, respec possibly again, get level 35 IOs, and then kind of use those all the way up to level 50 when I'll kind of do my final, let's say level 47. I might respec one last time into my final level 50 build. And then I'll start getting all those level 50 IOs and those, special uh, sets and stuff that I want, the more expensive things. And I like to do it this way because this way I get a chance to kind of pause and actually play the character at these levels to see if this is actually working out. Is this plan actually working? Because if it's not, then I gotta rethink the whole process because this is your core that you're gonna build everything on. And then also this is a great area for respec or not respecing like lower level task forces. You go and run the Posse task force or the Capo Diablo task force, right? You're going to be using this build. You're going to be using these powers. The rest of your stuff is going to be grayed out. You're not going to have access to them. So this needs to be a manageable, usable foundation set of powers. Otherwise, your character sucks and it's not going to be fun. If you're completely reliant upon your level 50 build, well, then you're screwed. Unless that's all you ever play is level 50, hey, that's fine. You do a bunch of incarnate stuff. I don't know. But, most of the game is going to have a wide range of stuff that you're doing. All right, gang, I think we're going to end it with that. I think we've got our idea going here. I think we've got a decent concept for this character that's going to let us play him and have some utility. So there you go. That's my starting point. We'll wrap it with that, and then maybe what I'll do is kind of the final version of this. Obviously it takes time, right? You got to let Kathy do her thing. If it was just me doing this, I could go through it faster. But I kind of like this idea of getting some thoughts from Kathy, kind of building this one level at a time, one slot at a time, seeing what she's thinking. And, my goal here is if I can get this into an effective system, I can then now layer on top of this, picture this where I can go next, is the set bonuses. I could say, hey, we've got our build, we had a rationale for all these steps along the way. Now at level 50, we're going to respec this character and put all these, set IO things in here. Here are the sets you can put into a hold set, hold power, into a slow power, whatever, and then give her the options to choose from. Give her my recommended sets that I would go with. Maybe some target ideas. Hey, we want a bunch of recharge. What would you do? And see what she comes up with. See if she can come up with some sort of, secret sauce. And have some fun with it that way too. That'd be a nice, interesting thing. So that's kind of where we're going with this, right? We'll kind of finish up this mids build, then we'll let her play with set bonuses. So maybe that's what I'll do. I might just finish this build the rest of the way myself, and then, well, I'll do it off camera with her, and then we'll swing back around with you all on the set bonus stuff, on the IO sets that we can put in here, kind of see what she comes up with that. And then once that's put together, and I would lump incarnate choices with that as well, we'll then go into maybe the costume generator kind of thing, see if we can put together a costume that looks like what we've come up with for this guy. I've got some cool imagery, so far, I hope. So I think if we can come up with that that sort of a look in the costume generator, then we'll be good to go. And then we'll fiddle with this guy, do some test runs, and just see if this is going to be usable or not. I said yesterday or the other day when I made part 1, episode 1, that I already have this guy at like level 39, so gonna have to maybe respec him and do his costume up, rechange his costume, change his look. But there you go. That is episode 2, from concept to costume, 0 to hero. Frisson Sensate. Glad you could tune in. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.